What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well so far. And I got a request a couple weeks ago to use the Seahawks bye week to talk about a particular position on the Seahawks, specifically the safety position. What is the future of the safety position for the Seattle Seahawks? So let's break it down. Really, we're just talking about three players. Three players currently encompass the likely future at the safety spot for the Seahawks. And I think what the person requesting wanted, as well as other people who might be interested in this topic, because it does get brought up a lot, is what is the viability of the Seahawks moving on from one or both of their expensive safeties, and as a reaction to that, what happens then to Ryan Neal, who is a free agent at the end of the year? So let's start with our two big expensive safeties. So Jamal Adams, and this is the one that everyone always asks about, right? This is the one that people always talk about. Can we get rid of Jamal Adams? Can we move off Jamal Adams? Can we cut Jamal Adams? Can we do this to Jamal Adams? Can we do this? Can we? It's always Jamal. So let's get down to brass tacks on the actual numbers here so we can understand what it would take to move on from Jamal Adams this upcoming offseason. So Jamal Adams signed a 4-year, $70.5 million contract last year with the Seahawks. And if we were to move on from him before the 2023 season starts, what are we talking about? Spotrac lays it out for us. They tell you, this is what's going to happen if you release the player. This is how much it's going to cost. This is the dead cap. This is what you save. So let's see. What do they say for 2023? All right. So if we were to release or trade, actually, if we released or traded Jamal Adams before June 1st in this upcoming offseason, the dead cap hit for 2023 would be $21.3 million. Release, trade, it doesn't matter. The cap hit for having him is about 18. So if you want to release Jamal Adams before 2023, you are going to be paying him an extra $3 million to not be on your team. So right then and there, I think that needs to shut down a lot of this talk. I think that a lot of Seahawks fans need to look at that and realize it's just probably not going to happen, at least not that way. It's literally more expensive to release him than it is to keep him for 2023. Now, what some people are going to counter with is, oh, well, at least it'll be done. And that's true, right? If you release him, you will owe him an extra $3 million in 2023, but then you owe him nothing after that. You don't have to worry about the $23.5 million you owe him in 2024. You don't have to worry about the $25 million almost you owe him in 2025. Okay, legitimate point. But even with that, are you really going to take a look at this player, who I know some of you don't like, and that's fine. There's nothing I can do about that. But who has been an all-pro in this league, who is still relatively young. He's going to be 28 next year. Who did not have injury problems before he got to Seattle, through his career at LSU and with the New York Jets. And you're going to say, I will pay extra money in 2023 to not have him? When, by the way, there are a lot of indicators that the Seattle Seahawks will be ready to maybe compete for a Super Bowl in 2023. We're closer than we thought. Team gets a little bit better, and you might have a legitimate Super Bowl contender next year. But not if you're going to be paying $21 million to a guy to not play for you. That's going to make it a lot harder. Now, if you want to release him after June 1st, which is a possibility, then the dead cap hit is only 7.1, which means you save 11. However, it means you also have a significant dead cap hit in 2024. Remember, the dead cap hit doesn't go away. It just gets kicked down to a later year. So you will owe Jamal $14.2 million in dead cap in 2024. And if you're looking at 2023 and 2024 as the window, having significant dead cap hits on a player who is not even playing for you is not really the way you want to go. It's going to happen from time to time, but you don't want to take it on if you don't have to. So I don't see it. Remember, if you do a post-June 1st release or a post-June 1st trade, that means it happens after free agency, after the draft. So your ability to utilize that money is hampered slightly by the fact that you won't have it until after all the desirable players outside of maybe 4 or 5 guys are gone. Much more realistic would be 2024. After this upcoming season, in the 2024 offseason, you let him go. It's $14 million dead, but you're saving almost $9.5 million. So that is probably the point where we can have this conversation. Jamal is going to be here for, I would say, another year. And then we can have the conversation. But right now, I'm just not seeing it. Financially, I cannot make the numbers add up. So, not moving off of Jamal right now, I don't think. Unless his body is completely broken to the point where we know for a fact he'll never play football again. And then it's like, okay, let's just take our medicine now and deal with it. And it'll be over after this year. But as long as we believe he can play football again, and by the way, it sounds like he's got a chance to come back in the playoffs this year if we make a deep enough playoff run. If that happens, it's really not going to happen. So Jamal's sticking around, and he's going to cost a lot of money. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, there's an opportunity here for him to rewrite the narrative of his time in Seattle. Now we go over to Quandre Diggs, and this is a little more interesting. Let's take a look at what it would take to get out of this contract. So 2023, he's owed 18.1. 2024, 15.1. So this is an expensive player. No doubt about it. He's not really living up to this contract this year. Maybe he's living up to his cap hit of about $6 million, but he's not living up to the full extent of the contract. That's fair. I got no problem with pointing that out. If you released him, you would incur a dead cap hit of about $8.2 million, and that would save about 10. Okay, that's not bad. If you did it post June 1st, you would split that 8.2 across 2 years, and you would save $14 million in 2023, and then you'd eat $4 million dead in 2024, which by the time 2024 comes around, the cap is going to be so high, 4.1 is going to be like nothing. Okay, viable option there. But my question with Quandre Diggs, is he bad this year? I don't feel like he is. I think he's playing okay. His coverage numbers are still really solid. He's not giving up much in coverage. Yes, he's not tackling great. Yes, he's not making plays on the ball. It's not what we were hoping. But I don't get the sense that Quandre is a bad player. I think that he is having a down year for understandable reasons. So, are you really going to pay a dude $8.2 million to not play for you when he's not a bad player? You could use that $10 million on something pretty good, admittedly. But is Quandre playing so bad that he's worth just kicking out? Wouldn't you rather do it after 2023, the 2024 offseason? Only $4 million dead, save $11 million. So, I don't know. This one, it's at least on the table. It's at least a possibility that Quandre Diggs is moved this offseason. If he doesn't pick up his play by the end of the year, I think it's a worthy consideration. But I don't believe that he's playing bad enough to where I'm willing to give him a ton of money to play somewhere else. So this one's more realistic. I could see this one happening if his play doesn't pick up, but you're still talking about a lot of dead money. So where does that leave us with Ryan Neal? He's the other guy that people are wondering about when it comes to the safety position for the Seahawks, right? Ryan Neal's in the middle of a bit of a breakout year for the Seahawks. Last 2 years, he's played spot duty. He's come in and started a handful of games the last 2 years. Played some safety, played some corner. Wasn't anything over the top impressive, but he was pretty good. He was a playmaker. He made plays on the ball. And then this year, he takes over for Josh Jones after Josh Jones loses the job because he wasn't playing well. And he's been great. Ryan Neal has been awesome. He's been great against the run. He's been great in coverage. He's gotten a sack in pass rushing. He's gotten an interception. He's had some really phenomenal games. And Ryan Neal is a free agent this upcoming offseason, so a lot of people, I think the impetus behind talking about Jamal and Quandre is, hey, we've kind of happened upon a really nice safety almost by accident here. Let's not lose him to keep a couple of guys who are overpaid and have probably already seen their best football. Both Jamal and Quandre have had major injuries in their career now, and the odds of them getting back to their peak level of performance is not particularly great. So with all that being said, what is Ryan Neal going to be looking at this offseason, and can we afford to give it to him without releasing somebody like a Quandre Diggs? Is it going to have to be a one-for-one trade where we re-sign Ryan Neal, but in order to do that, we have to let Quandre go? Or we have to do a post-June 1st release of Jamal Adams and use the cap savings there, accepting that 2024 is going to kind of suck. I mean, his PFF numbers, the whole league looks at PFF stuff. I know you can't take them completely seriously. I don't. His PFF numbers are pretty stellar. So, what is a guy like a Ryan Neal going to command? That's a tough question to answer because he's not a high-profile player. He's obviously not up there with the best safeties in the league in terms of reputation. Nobody thinks of Ryan Neal when they think of the elite safeties like Justin Simmons or Derwin James. But he's playing at a clearly very high level, and I imagine he's going to get some consideration. Now, here's what I will say. If you look at safeties in the NFL, it drops off quickly once you get past the top guys. Like, this is a list of all the safeties that got contract extensions in the most recent offseason. You can see that you got Marcus Williams at the top by far, then Justin Reed a good distant second, and then you've got Honey Badger, and then the cliff comes very quickly when you're a safety trying to get paid. Like, you've got Marcus May, he got like 7.5, Whitehead got about the same, but then you get down to the $5 million a year guys, and then it's just basically special teamers and depth guys. So if you're not one of the super high profile safeties in this league, there's not a lot of money for you most of the time. Quandre Diggs actually isn't listed here for some reason. I don't know why. Spotrac probably has him listed as a nose tackle or something. They do stuff like that sometimes. But Ryan Neal has not done what Quandre Diggs did to earn that extension. Quandre Diggs made 13 interceptions across less than 2.5 years as a Seahawk. He played at a Pro Bowl level. Ryan Neal's not doing that yet. And even if he does do that this whole year, that's still not as big of a resume as what Quandre had when he got his money. So, trying to get a feel for how this might go with a guy like a Ryan Neal, seems to me you're looking at something between Xavier Woods, who had a full, really nice season for the Vikings in 2021, got over 100 tackles. I think he played every game. And then he got a 3-year, $5 million a year contract with the Panthers. And then you got Jordan Whitehead, who had a really nice year for the Bucks, got $7.25 million from the Jets per year. And I think what Ryan Neal's looking at is somewhere in the middle. He's definitely worth more than a guy like Kareem Jackson, who's just kind of wiling out the last couple years of his career. George Odom, who is a fringe player in the league. He's worth more than these guys. He's worth more than the Rodney McLeod, the special teamers, and the just role players. But I don't believe he's done anything to ascend to that Marcus Williams, Quandre Diggs, Honey Badger level of play. So my best guess would be somewhere around 2 years, 11 million, or maybe something around 3 years, 16 million. That's what I think Ryan Neal is going to go for the way he's playing. Unless he goes so nuts over the rest of the year where he suddenly becomes one of the most high-profile safeties because he just plays out of his mind the rest of the way. He averages like an interception a game or something. I don't think he's going to be able to boost himself into that top tier of safeties who actually get the big bucks. So, could you get Ryan Neal on 3 years, 16 million, and still keep Diggs and Adams? I think you can. So I don't think you have to sacrifice one to keep the other. But maybe Ryan Neal will hit another gear the rest of the year. It's possible, of course. Maybe there will be a team out there that's willing to offer him like 9 or 10 million a year. It's always a chance. All right, I'll see you guys later. That's how I see the safety stuff breaking out for the Seahawks. So let me know what you think.